Alright, so my plan is to take what's left of this old three-wheel bicycle, pull it out of a scrap bin at work. I'm going to take it and use this rear section with the chain and sprocket and shaft in that little mounting area, and hopefully I can mount the winch right there and then couple that shaft here to this shaft. So let's get some stuff together and see what we can do with that. Alright, I got this little Badlands winch from Harbor Freight. It's a 2,000 pound winch. It's pretty small, you can see. Came with the controller, fuse, some cables, and some terminal protectors. So anyway, I'm going to modify this thing to turn my compost tumbler with a 12-volt battery, and it's going to be solar charged, and I'm going to have it set on a timer. So I'm going to get the cable stripped off here. I don't need the cable. I'm going to modify this end down and somehow get a sprocket bolted or welded to this, and yeah, so we'll get taking it apart and see how that goes. Alright, so that came apart pretty easy. I stripped off the cable, and they just have it looped over inside that. You just kind of pry it out of there and it comes right out. Then I took these two bolts here, hold this plate on, and then this whole assembly just popped right out of there, and you can see how it engages. If I turn that knob, this gear pops out and then pops into there. So with this off, I can set the motor aside and figure out how I'm going to modify this. So let me see if I can further disassemble this piece. Alright, so that was really easy. I just took this little plate off, which keeps the cable from backlashing, and then once I did that, I took this outside knob off. Once I did that, this piece just popped right out of there. And now I can trim this down. I'm still gonna have to use it, but I can trim it down out of the way. And then probably, this is cast aluminum, so I'll figure out how to bolt a sprocket on here. So let me go get some stuff here. Alright, so I disassembled this, what do you call this thing? It goes on the back of a three-wheel bicycle. The hub, I guess. Kind of a free spooling hub. I disassembled it just to get this sprocket off. And this sprocket is mountable because of the holes. So here's what we're going to do. Here's the drum off of the winch. This pipe fits pretty good on there, just a tiny bit of slop. So what I'll do is I'll wrap a piece of black tape around here until this fits nice and tight. Let me set the phone down for a second. Okay, I just had to grind these. There was some little tabs right here. I just ground those down a little bit till this thing fits really snug on the pipe. So now what that'll allow me to do, so I slip that on there. So now I can mark and drill those holes and mount that sprocket, and then I can put some spacers behind the sprocket, and I won't have to cut this drum. It'll be able to stay just like it is. There'll be clearance for the chain. And this is just bicycle chain, so I'm hoping it's strong enough. This was on a heavy duty three-wheel bicycle, so we'll get those marked and drilled and see if we can get it mounted up. Alright, I got the sprocket drilled and the drum drilled. I stepped them up to 1/4 inch bolts, and you could see I had to grind part of the head down so they would fit in there. And I just used a washer just to space it out just enough. I did sand the drum down a little bit to give the chain some clearance. Those are grade 8 bolts under a shear load, not a tension load, so missing part of the head's not an issue. And I just got some flange nuts here on this side. But yeah, I think that'll do it. I did have to slot the holes in this bracket just because it pushes the bracket out just ever so slightly, and that allows enough clearance for the chain there. So I'll get everything bolted together and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, real quick, I use that same piece of PVC that I used to center the sprocket up for drilling. I cut it down to the height of the bolt heads to make a little bushing. So let's see here. When it goes in this outer bushing here, that bushing hits, there's a plastic bushing in there. My PVC bushing will ride up against that plastic bushing. It gives it a little bit more room for the chain, and there's plenty of shaft going into the bushing there. So before these bolt heads were hitting on the plastic bushing there, so I think I solved that problem. I'm going to bolt it together and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, you can see here what it looks like all bolted together. Just enough clearance for that chain. You can see the chain passes freely through there. And I've got the drum unlocked right now, so everything spins freely. Every now and then it hangs up on that master link. Just barely catches it. I think that'll wear itself in. And you can see the lock and unlock. I'm about to lose it here. Hold on. There we go. Yeah. The lock and unlock mechanism still works fine. Yeah, so let me get the frame out and see what we got to do to mount this thing up. going to take and cut this tab off here. It's already got a nice slot in it, just some more scrap stuff I pick up. I'm going to use that slot since my plate didn't go up high enough here. So I'm going to cut this off and then weld that tab here, and it's already got slot. And I just have to slot this one down here, and then I can have chain adjustability. Let me get that cut off. Is this thing on? Yeah. Alright, I think it's time to give this thing a try. I got it where it free spools nicely. Everything seems to be running true. So what this is going to do, I'll have to show you on my tumbler, but it has pipes that hold the gears, and this socket fits nicely inside the pipe up to that bevel. So I'm going to weld this in on that pipe with this 1/2-inch square drive. Then on this shaft here, I'm going to grind these threads down one side or the other. And I'm going to slide this over it. And that's a wobble extension, so if it's out of play any, that wobble will make up for it. So that's going to slide in there and be welded. Yeah, I think I'm going to weld it. And then that'll just plug right in, and I have to build some sort of stand coming off the frame of the compost tumbler. But for today, I just want to see this thing work and spin the shaft. So I think it's going to be fine. Let's get some power hooked up to it and see what happens. All right, here it goes. I gotta engage it. I call that a win for now. That's the way you grind something. That fits like a glove. A loose glove, but it actually tightens up on there. Now let's see how it looks as it spins. Alright, I went ahead and brought the composter over here. We're going to take this socket here, grind the chrome off of it. We're going to put it in there and we're going to weld it to that pipe. And then this guy right here will plug in, and it's got a little bit of wobble in case there's any. Well, if I can get it off. There we go. Alright, so let me grind the chrome off that and we'll get to welding. Alright, thought the GoPro was on, it wasn't. I gotta get better with that thing. Anyway, let that focus a little bit. Got that socket welded in there. Everything still spins. So we're gonna see if we can get this apparatus plugged in there and see if it'll turn it. So let me get this thing put back together. Alright, I got this thing rigged up on some stands until I build a rack to hold it up. It's plugged in there nicely. Hopefully it just don't flip over when I plug it in, but I got it hooked up. I'm gonna probably have to hold on to it so it don't flip. So let me prop this camera up. Let's see. Alright, the goal for this video is to make it turn this composter with the winch, so we'll see what happens. Well, I think that was a complete success. I didn't even have to put that much pressure. There is, I just started a new compost in this bin, so there's not a whole lot in it. Maybe 5 gallons of material. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Let's see. Some refinements. I think that's okay. Be nice if it had like a tensioner or something. Maybe we can come up with something off of a bicycle for that. Maybe a little wear pad here, a little nylon pad on that for the chain. I've only got one bolt in this winch, so if I put at least 2 more bolts in it, I think it'll be good. So yeah, you guys can see how big this thing is. Let me see if we can see what's in there. I don't know if you can see in there. Yeah, there's at least 5 gallons of stuff. I just dumped out my old stuff on the ground and I started a new one, so. So I'm going to hold the camera this time and try it one more time. I just got my deep cycle battery there hooked up. Like I said, this thing runs smoother on the winch in than it does on the winch out, so we're just going to run it on that. And it doesn't seem to be getting hot, so I'm going to just put a hand on here and then we're going to go for it again. Ready? chain is staying on nicely for only having one bolt in that winch. I can see the winch is getting a little crooked. All right, extremely happy with that. This thing is a hoss, so. Okay, my goal is, after I get this mounted, I'll have this welded to the stand somehow, and probably a leg going to the ground. My goal is to be able to just unplug it if I need to and move it. So that was the whole idea of using this square drive, half-inch drive socket. So that should work out pretty good. I may pin it. There's a hole I can drill out and pin it just so it don't fall out. But it seems to hold in there pretty good. Alright, so my goal is to have this set up on a timer, and the timer will go off, you know, once or twice, I don't know, a couple times a week. We'll have to see. And then to run a solar charger for the battery. So I get the solar charger and the timer and all that set up, and that'll be for another video. But I'm extremely happy with the progress of this video. So we'll see you on part 2. Thanks for watching Projects with Paul. We'll see you next time.